Good day, YouTube. This is Jay Money with Falling Forward Financial. Just an update here on Apple. I've talked about them a couple times on the channel, and I have quite a few shares of Apple, and I just let it sit there and build and split and do its thing. But you can see it's just been kind of up and down all over the place this year. I wish I would have sold all of mine back in the 182s back in January, along with all my MJ stock, but that didn't happen. But you can see it's just bouncing off the 150 to 170, ran up almost to the 180s and back down to the 130s, ran back up here in August to the 174s. Might have to start trading this one, so it's just kind of goes up and then it falls back up again, falls back even more. But even if you're at a loss, then screw up trading it. Just keep it or wait, and it's going to go back down if you want to buy, or wait until it goes back up to sell. I don't give tax, legal, or trading advice, just stating my opinion. But like I said, I've talked about this one. It's actually in the green in the past year, up over 4%. Here in the past 3 months, up over 6%. Here in the past month, it's actually down 6%. And here in the past week, down 1%. And here's a look at today, so it's up 0.5%. So the 149s to 153. So you could trade this one and make a couple bucks. So might have to consider that. If you don't know much about Apple, feel free to pause and go over that. You could be watching this on an Apple product, but founded in 1976, a $2.44 trillion market cap, a high today of 153.77, low of 149.10, a 52-week high of 182.94, and a low of 129.04. Does give a dividend, not much. The volume on this one is 104 million, so it's usually up there. 70.88 million on the volume today. Great ratings on this one, a 78% buy. And here's a look at their next earnings on October 27th. So here's a look at my last dividend. Looks like I just had a partial share in here. That's another thing I'd like to point out. If you don't have 150 bucks, you can just throw 10-20 bucks at it here in Robinhood and get you a piece of it. Eventually, if you keep adding to it, you'll end up with a whole share. But currently at 151.33. So over here on Microsoft Bing, currently showing it as a buy with an upside 1-year price of 185. And Apple iPhone 14 Pro models could give the company a profit boost. So the iPhone 14 demand remains hot for the Pro models, but is cool for regular models. Analysts say still strong sales of the pricier Pro models bode well for the Apple's profit margin. So the 14 series went on sale September 16th. After a week of pre-orders, the base model 14 starts at $799, iPhone 14 Pro starts at $999, and the Pro Max starts at $1,099. Regular iPhone 14 and Pro version have a 6.1-inch display, while the Pro Max version has a 6.7-inch display, so getting bigger. Bigger's better. So Pro models have a speedier processor, improved camera, and base models. The demand remains quite elevated for the Pro models, but weaker for the base models relative to a year ago. With 14 Pro and the Pro Max lead times tracking in line to better than 13 Pro, the Pro Max lead times offset by shorter lead times for base models. iPhone 14 availability across key markets including US, China, Germany, and UK. The United States accounts for 35% of the iPhone shipments. China makes up for about 15%. Germany and the UK account for about 5%. So a lot more people here in the United States than the other countries that have iPhones. So iPhone 14 sales come up short in China, and this is just dated to, looks like today. Sales of the iPhone 14 are off to a sluggish start in China. Consumers snapped up 987,000 units in the first 3 days of the delivery, 11% lower than the comparable sales of the iPhone 13 family last year. According to a Bloomberg report citing Jeffrey's analysis, these initial data suggested iPhone 14 sales may not be as strong as the pre-order levels indicated, since pre-order does not come with any payment obligations. Debut of the Apple 0.66%. Latest smartphone family continued a disappointing stretch of sales in the world's largest mobile market, which has been battered by a weak economy and tight pandemic restrictions. Smartphone shipments plunged by nearly 1/3 to 19.1 million in July. And so, having a tough time even for Apple, so kind of amazing. Apple must be stopped, a tech giant entering NFT space, but once its 30% cut, backlash ensues. This is also on the 26th. Apple could help onboard more people to the NFT space, but it comes with a costly catch. Apple has faced previously complaints and lawsuits over the 30% commission rate on app transactions. That's quite a bit, so $30 out of 100, more or less. Onboarding the next group of people, the world of non-fungible tokens could see an evolution beyond art and profile pictures into the increased utility of gaming, sports, tickets, and company rewards. Large companies with massive customer base can also help onboard more people in the space, but it may come at a cost. So Apple has entered into the non-fungible token space, which I've talked about a couple times here on the channel, allowing transactions through apps on its marketplace, like no other transaction across apps on the Apple iOS system. Apple is taking a 30% commission on the NFT transactions, which has been met with backlash. So that is a lot. So blockchain is here to stay. The bear markets provide huge opportunities to make outsized returns. You can list what your thoughts are of NFTs, Bitcoin, and all that in the comments if you like. So I've talked about all of them on the channel here a time or two, but so talking about the games, the structure in relation to the popular game Fortnite, Epic Games is partially owned by Tencent Holdings, which I think I've talked about here on the channel once or twice. Apple delisted Fortnite from the App Store after Epic found a way to work around Apple's commission fees. I remember that. That was interesting. NFT marketplace leader OpenSea takes a commission rate of 2.5%. The information is also cited NFT marketplace company withdrawing its offering from Apple App Store previously, even if Apple offered to cut commission by 15%. Another challenge could be the use of the US dollars instead of cryptocurrency for App Store transactions, which could force NFT companies to experience more volatility from the swing in prices in both cryptocurrency and the US dollar along the way. Despite the backlash, it could be understated how big the adoption of NFTs could be. So, like I said, I've talked about them a couple times here on the channel. I'll link that in the description as well. But the industry are questioning if the 30% commission trade-off is worth getting more people into the space. Starbucks recently announced its NFT reward program, an offering from a major corporation that could help NFTs gain interest in the form of utility for companies. So social media platforms, Twitter and Meta or Facebook-owned Instagram are integrating NFT ownership. So it looks like everybody's getting into NFTs, so very interesting. Apple has a bunch of new products coming, but not this year. This is also dated here today. May have to wait for the coming out our way to 2023 if the latest rumors are to be believed. We could see everything from 15-inch MacBook Air to an M3 iMac to a VR headset. While it is exciting, it may mean the end of the year will be left more bare. So Bloomberg dropped a report about the apparent lack of an Apple event in the weekly newsletter. Gunman is considered a high accurate source for reports on future Apple products, so when he says there will be no Apple event next month, you can depend on it. So also note the news of the much anticipated IVR headset from Apple. This is supposedly going to be a lightweight but highly functional headset with a wraparound design and tons of cameras for hand tracking. So very cool, very interesting. Apple begins making iPhone 14 in India weeks ahead of schedule, so and try to boost the sales maybe, so get the stock price back up. Begin making its new iPhone in India sooner than anticipated, after a surprisingly smooth production rollout that slashed the lag between Chinese and Indian input from months to mere weeks. Very interesting. The tech giant made an announcement on Monday, weeks after the marquee device, September 7 unveiling. It had worked with Foxconn Technology Group, its most important production partner, with the original goal of assembling iPhones about 2 months after a global launch, Bloomberg News reported in August. So the partners quickened the process after resolving supply chain issues, which helped production go smoother than expected. People familiar with the matter said asking to remain anonymous, discussing internal procedures. Moving on over here to Reddit. Sold it a month ago. Like I said earlier, I wish I would have sold it in the 170 and 180s and rebought back in. Might just have to consider trading this one, so it does move 10-20 bucks here and there. So, and doesn't look like StockTwits is going to work. So MSN Money currently at 151.36, showing a buy rating here of 45 analysts and an upside to 181.15. That's all that I have on Apple. If you have Apple, go ahead and list that in the comments along with your cost basis and any other information you'd like to share. And if you haven't smashed that like button yet, go ahead and hit that for me, as well as subscribing and hit the bell so you're notified of when the next videos drop. Again, this is Jay Money following Ford Financial. Happy trading, happy investing, stay green. Cheers.